Okay, it's worth looking at some of the instrument rack presets because there's actually a ton of them. Um, and some of these are mixed in kind of all throughout things. Like if I go and look at, I don't know, operator. See the icon here? That icon means it's an operator. If I drag that on something, it's going to make an operator. But if you see an icon like that, it's slightly different, right? It's got that little line in the middle. That means you're making a rack of which an operator is in. Let's make that. So I'm going to drag that onto an empty spot. And look, it doesn't look like an operator, right? It looks like a bunch of macros. Now, this is another difference between Live Suite and the smaller versions of Live. You might be able to open this up and see what's in the rack. If you have Live Suite, you can. If you don't have Live Suite, you won't be able to go in and adjust the contents of this rack. But I have Live Suite, so I can click here on the devices and see what's in this rack. Okay, so I can see it's got an operator and some effects, right? And those effects are currently off, but they are mapped to a macro. So if I turn something on, you'll probably see those turn on. There they are. Oh, they're on. It's just that they're mapped, so it's white instead of yellow. Okay, I can look at the chains. Here we only have one chain, and that's okay. You only need one chain if you're only going to have one instrument and then some effects attached to it. So a rack is a good way to save a preset that is an instrument with some effects attached to it, right? So let's look at another one of these. See if we can find one with multiple chains. Nope, this one only has one chain. But it has a lot of stuff on it. It's an operator with a delay, an amplifier, a compressor, and a reverb built in, all with a bunch of macro mappings. Let's try another one. Okay, here we have a pad that has 4 different chains on it. They've named these part 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's look inside of them. So I'm going to show the devices. So here we have a sampler and an EQ on channel 1, or chain 1. On chain 2 we have a sampler and an EQ. 3 we have a sampler and an EQ and a delay. Part 4 we have a sampler and an EQ and a delay. Let's see how it's deciding what chain to play. Let's look at key. Okay, it's always playing all keys. Let's look at velocity. It's always playing all velocity. Let's look at chain. So it's always playing all chains. Now it's only because all chains are on in this 0 position right here, and this isn't mapped to anywhere. So all the chains are always on. Now we do have this volume automated though. See a little green knob? So if we look at our volume, oh, that's just all mapped there. So all of them are always on. So we could look at the sample and see what it's doing. In order to see the sample, when it says multi-sample mode, we just need to go to manage sample here. Doing that will show us all the contents of that sample up here if we want to replace it. But this is an example of an instrument rack where we've got 4 chains and all 4 of them are on all the time, which is totally okay. So play around with some of the instrument racks that are in here, and also note that in any of these presets you're going to find instrument racks like that.